This was titled Activating Smart Retail Spaces, but the real title, the working title, was always Immersive Digital Experiences times Retail Media Networks. And when I talked with Veronica from Avixa when we originally brainstormed this session, we were talking about megatrends. And I said, well, there's this sort of master trend that's happening right now of immersive digital experiences in one area, and then in the other area, retail media networks, and they really need each other to flourish and maximize their potential into the future. So I invited Michael and Monika up here so that we could have a sort of back and forth representing the two halves of this equation. And we could give you, hopefully, some good discussion that dives a little bit deeper than the superficial buzzwords around these topics. Let's dive into first, what exactly is immersive digital experiences? The first thing I'm going to do is what I don't believe it is at all. It's not immersive Van Gogh. I think immersive as a term got pigeonholed into these sorts of cheap slideshow projection art things, and that's really not good for immersive. Immersive digital experiences is an entire category of creativity and art and technology and experiences that is really going to revolutionize how we enjoy physical space, right? And frankly, these sort of immersive Van Gogh and art things is no different than what Charles and Ray Eames did in 1964, right? They had 22 projectors of film and slide, and you sat there and you passively watched a show that was timed and scripted and had audio with it, right? So it's really nothing new. And to me, the maximum potential of immersive digital experiences is to treat architectural space as a portal to the digital world, right? So that they're implied by that, there is a back and forth between your physical presence affecting the digital world and the digital world affecting your physical presence, right? So you don't treat this as just a passive space. You're not just watching a slideshow on the wall or a digital wallpaper. It's something more than that. So let's take a quick survey about all of these sort of immersive spaces that we see right now. So in the theme park world and the entertainment world, right, you see massive use of digital projection, of large format LED displays. You see massive use of live rendering technologies. You see interactivity. You see things using like faux windows at massive scales. You see urban projections. Entire environments are transformed to a very high degree of believability that many of the guests are completely fooled into not knowing what is real or what is digital anymore. Location-based entertainment takes these technologies and then scales it into the sort of franchise approach where you have the Instagram experiences, like Team Lab is one of the best that does it, but you also have pop-ups, like you have Putt Putt and Putt Shack and all these projection mapped interactive axe throwing and mini golf courses. You have escape rooms. You're seeing the classic brand experience center was always one of the first to adopt big, fancy, flashy digital technologies. That continues to grow. You continue to see interactive walls, surfaces, digital content. There's a lot going on in sports too. You're seeing not just sort of flashy spectacle added to traditional sports, but you're seeing new sports. You're seeing interactive entertainment based on sports and sport brands that are using digital and large formats. You're seeing esports coming up where they're talking about building esports arenas, which again is massive amounts of digital screen and interactivity between your physical and the virtual world. There are some funky things going on too, like projection map dining tables, like Le Petit Chef and Allurium in Los Angeles was this. Seeing this on cruise ships, seeing this in urban centers. There's the sort of megadome trend that you see, you know, the Las Vegas Sphere is most notable, but Cosm is a chain that's trying to scale this at more of the scale of the traditional planetarium. With these massive 360 spherical domes, whether they're projection or LED, you can truly lose yourself in this virtual reality. So you don't need goofy goggles, you don't need any tricks or gadgets. You can be in a physical space. And the quality of the content, the quality of the displays now is getting to the point that some people can't tell it apart from reality anymore. Like there is a retina effect that you're losing. And a lot of those technologies are coming out of virtual production in film and broadcast. Right? You walk the show floor, you see a lot of this, and Hollywood is so demanding that they have to have the absolute best quality, right? They can't compromise. And a lot of those technologies now are taking the vast architectural scale that LED displays achieved over the last decade or 2 decades, let's say, and it's amping the quality up now to where it's almost indistinguishable from reality. So now let's jump to the other side. Let's look at retail media networks, and what does that mean? I want to first off say retail media networks kind of has 2 halves. There's in real life, in physical stores, and then there's e-commerce. And when you talk about or read about retail media networks, you will very quickly see there's a lot of this where, Amazon.com is selling advertising space on their websites, or Walmart.com, or whoever. But for the purposes of this presentation, we're going to talk about placing digital media in physical stores, right? And the explosion of menu boards that I'm sure you've noticed throughout your life, and even the smallest little mom and pop coffee shop now is using digital menu boards. These can all be quickly networked. This becomes media networks at various scales, along with the ordering kiosks. Digital posters have become quite common throughout retail of all different formats. I think you're going to see a lot more digital shelf displays. This seems to be an obvious category that has not quite caught on yet, but the technology is all there, and it's a lot of compelling reasons to do that. I also think that you'll see a lot of merchandise cabinets, right? There's a real challenge in retail now with securing merchandise and still making a good in-store shopping experience, while obviously digital technologies and displays could keep the brand impression high while keeping the merchandise secure. The architectural scale is going to explode, right? As the LED walls continue to go up in quality and ceaselessly go down in price, you're going to see people using these. I think the Tony Chocolonely store in Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam is phenomenal. The use of bold color, big LED walls, little LED walls on the display stands is just incredible. Continuing on retail media networks, I'm going to bring Monika up here now, and she can present her side. Now, Monika comes from the advertising agency and the retail media network up in the Scandinavian regions, has a lot of experience there. And then afterwards, we're going to ask Michael Schneider from Volvix Labs to talk about his experience doing very high-end immersive digital experiences. So Monika, please.
Thank you. I will take the clicker.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Monika. I work at the thesis group. We have 3 business brands called Dice, Visual Art, and Grassfish. And we are a digital in-store company. So we work with all digital touchpoints in-store. So retail media is already a proven business capability. So it aligns extremely well with businesses and retailers' commercial goals, such as repeatability, scale, it's a measurable return on investment, and it's predictable. So in simple terms, it's super easy to roll out, to govern, and to explain in a boardroom. And that is why retail media has scaled so rapidly, because today it plays a very crucial part in modern retail. So retail media was designed to work within commercial structures. So it's retailer-owned, governed, and accountable. It gives brands, with that I mean advertisers, something to compare with, and it's predictable. And it gives retailers full control of their networks. So that is not a limitation as many can think, because that is exactly why it works. Retail media is typically delivered through commoditized formats, such as screens, for example. And these formats are optimized for delivery, for pricing, and for comparison, because that is super important. And they are designed to answer super pragmatic questions, like, did the message play? Who could see it? And how often? And the focus is intentional and appropriate for the role that retail media is going to play. But then it's also about being honest. Retail media will never serve the same purpose as, immersive experiences, because it's hardly agnostic towards space, cultural, and sensory experiences. Retail media was never designed to solve every experiential challenge in store. And that is not a failure in itself. It's a design based on purpose. So immersive experiences, for example, they work much more with space, senses, atmosphere, and this storytelling perspective. Very often it's driven by a brand experience or marketing objective. And it doesn't make them better or worse. It just makes immersive experiences different. So it's different tools for different purposes in store. This is not an either-or problem. So the key point is this, the main point of this. There is only one digital in-store concept, not competing ones. Within that concept, different zones serve different purposes for the visitor. Retail media is one component. It's only one digital touchpoint in the physical environment. And other digital formats, including immersive experiences, may exist alongside it. And honestly, this requires all of us to put our egos aside, because we need to answer ourselves a super basic question. And that is, what's the purpose of the store? Or what's the purpose of the environment? Is it an art museum? Is it a sales engine? Is it a brand beacon? And there is no right or wrong answer to this, because return on investment can be transactional, such as driving sales, or relational, such as building trust and preference. So it can either be emotional or rational. But the main thing is that you always need to start with the why. Why is it there? What purpose does it serve? Retail media doesn't need to become something else to be successful, because it is already a core commercial component within the digital in-store ecosystem. And the opportunity is not to replace it, but to integrate it intentionally to the overall digital in-store concept. Because that is how digital in-store in general will scale without losing trust, value, or relevance. So I don't think that everything needs to be immersive. And I don't think that everything should be monetized. But I think that everything needs to be intentional.
Right. Hey, I'm Michael Schneider, CEO, Director of Media Architecture at Volvox Labs, a new media art studio out of Brooklyn, New York. I think actually it was, and I wish I had this like written up here now so you could take a picture, but it was really interesting listening to both Brad and Monika. I think the thing that stood out for me is that yes, there's immersive and there's retail network, but the piece that I think in both of them that we haven't differentiated is when the digital is about augmenting the physical experience that you're in versus taking you into the digital world, right? So, I think in the immersive side, a lot of the examples were really, it was being immersed in an alternate world, like you, as you said, a portal into another world is taking you out of your physical environment, where there's a lot of examples of digital immersive, where it's really about augmenting, extending, and enhancing the physical space. And I think similarly, in the digital retail networks, traditional digital signage, a lot of it was about replacing graphics, right? The menu board it used to be a physical thing that now becomes digital. So it's really about an augmentation of the physical space, not a portal into another world where sometimes, digital signage is actually used to get you into the world of digital, like leaving this space and into the digital world. And I think they're really drastically different roles, and the people that make for them and the tools are also really different, right? A graphic designer is going to be doing your menu board or your signage, where you're going to have a motion artist, a simulation artist that's creating an alternate world that invites you in. So I think those things are really important, because I do think that we're going to see retail digital networks. Sorry, I can't say those words together. It's just a block. But I think we're going to see them extending into other parts of the architectural space. Like when we invent, wall panels that have lighting and digital integrated into it as a commodity, then all of a sudden it can do something that it was doing before, but now it can do it better and more dynamically and deliver more results. And I think then you're going to see that moving into a more traditional distribution network. So I don't know, that was, and for me, that's super important, because I think people confuse those things all the time, and it ruins immersive experience, because you walk into a place, you have a big LED wall, and they're putting video on there that belongs on a little screen. It's designed to take you somewhere else, to take you out of this world, and yet it's your entire wall. And so when your whole wall is panning and cutting and tilting, like walls aren't supposed to do that unless there's a natural disaster, right? Like this is, so how do you start to think about walls as architecture? I'm just jump into a couple of things. I think that for us, we think about immersive digital experience is really about engaging the whole human across all their senses, their mental, their emotional, and I think most importantly, accessing it through the physical. In our team, we do that really thinking about engaging all of the senses, delivering messages across smell, touch, sound, visual. This is a project we did for a release for a new Prada fragrance, where we delivered the new scent in a soap bubble filled with mist, and the smell of the new fragrance, you reached in, it popped on your hand and left this new fragrance on your hand. This is something we actually just did working with Gensler and Intuit, and it just went live, so I don't have great pictures, but it's a tax firm, and they wanted a place that you could have a meditational journey. And so we built this beautiful kind of immersive light color dome with 8 channels of audio and vibration. And it was a place that you sat down, it addressed you individually, and it took you on this little meditative journey before you had to go and get your taxes done. But really, this is a key store in Soho, New York. It is a place that has a deep history of art. And so, this brand really understands they need to show up in an artful way there and have their presence felt. And, again, I think it goes back to what Monika was saying. It's what's the purpose in this place? And, for them, their purpose was to be seen and have people remember, oh, Intuit exists, I better do my taxes. So that it does that through this iconic moment there. When we do use digital as a portal, we try to do it thinking about it as like a terrarium, like you have a little glass fishbowl that something happens in there. And a lot of our work is about simulations and simulating physics that are happening inside of that world. So, I think the extension of architecture and space and using that digital deliberately to create that alternate, that little world that you want to look at and, is connected to the brand. This is with Swarovski crystal, kind of creating these living crystals that existed in these terrariums. Another project that we did with Prada, releasing a new mascara. They came to us and said, we want something that has to do with like weaving and black threads. And so we came up with this idea of these 2 robotic arms kind of weaving these black nylon threads across about a 10-meter stretch. And they wanted to talk about the idea of nylon. So they're nylon threads, because I guess the brushes have nylon in them to leave perfect tubes on your eyelashes. But really using art as a medium to engage with the public. And then really understanding architecture and the extension of it. This is a project we did for Microsoft in kind of a VIP lounge, and extending that architecture when it needed to be. It was actually a dark and closed, not too exciting space, and actually using digital as a way to be able to dynamically control architecture and change the space based on the programming. So when they had certain clients, it was more subdued and quiet and natural, and other times it was much brighter and bigger and more exciting, and the people in the space could dynamically shift the whole feeling of the space accordingly. And then last, really thinking about digital, and I think, as we see more and more robotics and AI, thinking about digital as an active participant in the experience of retail. So this is a project we did for Coinbase, using a robotic arm as an interactive basketball game. So it came and engaged with you in a way that was unexpected and became a real conversation piece there. So, and then last, when you think about immersive, it's about bringing an object to life. So Saratoga Springs wanted to talk about sparkling water and still water and do a water tasting. And so this was projection mapping on a stone that was inspired by the springs and where they come from. Those are some examples of immersive and how we like to approach immersive as an augmentation of space, not a journey outside of your space.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And your eyelashes are beautiful.
Thank
so,
you.
Hey, see, we've got robots too. We're cool, okay? So I think the next session here is we wanted to create a little bit of discussion, a little bit of, let's say, daytime talk show dynamics here. And one of the things that I keep thinking about is like, what's holding back both of these spaces? Like, why aren't they growing faster, right? You walk around these show floors, you see 1,001 companies trying to sell all the bits and bobs and pieces of these systems, but you don't really see good, comprehensive, wide-scale rollouts of either of these. It's always kind of limited. So, Monika, I'll start with you. You know, what's holding back, from your perspective, the use of more immersive experiences in your work?
Well, I would say it's pretty easy because one, it's knowledge, and two, it's money. Like, it's very difficult to find the money for this investment because it's often a huge investment. And it's very difficult to calculate on the return of investment. So, and it's even more difficult during these times. You have had a recession, it's tough times, you get budgets like slaughtered and so on. So
that's interesting, though. You first said knowledge.
Yeah.
Everybody is short on money.
Yeah.
What do you think about knowledge? What's limiting that?
No, but I don't think that they know where to start. I mean, they can see something cool, but they don't understand like who is doing this type of things, what's needed from my space that I have, like, because for sure they already have a plan for the space. Are they, and also like, are they the single point of responsible for this place? So they don't know where to start.
Got it. So it's just the lack of experience or the lack of vision about, they don't know what they can do with this. People just don't have good experiences and they don't know what to ask for as the client side of it.
No, I think it's more often that a retail architect or someone is suggesting the idea than it's requested from the ones owning the physical space.
Got it. Michael, so what do you think is holding back the use of retail media? Like, why is that not growing and more pervasive?
I mean, I feel like retail media is growing. Is it not?
Yes, but I got you guys to throw some punches at each
Yeah.
other. Gotta make it churny here, you know?
I mean, is it...
Well, it can always be faster, right? So why is it not growing faster?
Yeah, I mean, retail media is not growing faster because, you know, I think it is becoming just run of the mill, like it's an expected part of the experience. So is it bringing more, like, how does it bring more value that's not just, you know, a few pennies more value, right? Like, I don't know that there's like a jump in additional value that it's bringing. So it's really just like, as it gets cheaper and easier to use. And I think to your initial thing, it's also about knowledge and understanding. Like, these are, you know, now every mom and pop store though is understanding that. And it was like the mom and pop store understanding that this is a thing that they could afford and was accessible to them is why all of a sudden you have this mass growth of it. Will it grow into immersive? Not until it becomes, I think, there's a defined immersive endpoint, you know, like, and I think as you said, that's to be what's holding back the immersive side as well.
So talking about the hopeful future, I was just thinking, maybe I'll frame it this way. So let's say I came to both of you and I'm going to launch Kerner Coffee, Kerner Espresso Martinis, because I drink neither alcohol nor coffee, so it's perfect for me to launch this, right? And I say, I want the best. I want this to be the most stylish coffee chain, martini chain you've ever seen. How would you two work together to make that happen?
Should I start?
Yeah.
I think it's always like you need to go through the space. First of all, you need to see how big is it, how many square meters, like what is it that we have to work with. And then you need to understand your target audience. But then, like, when it comes to a screen, if you want to have it looking good in store, you always need to, it's all about the casing and how you frame it and the context. Like, are you going to sell on the menu board? Do you even need to have a menu board? Do you want to have retail media messages? Or do you want to have it on the shop front instead? So I think that, like, from the beginning, you start the same way. You start with why. You sit together and you start with why. And then you ask people, you ask questions, you try to understand, because if you think that you have all the answers, you are completely wrong, then you will fail.
Yeah. I think, you know, we also definitely start with understanding the goals and the user experience of it, but what we do most of the time is we just build a version of it, and invite people in and then test it. So, and that's very much, and that's the understanding is, do you want to do something that's different, that's unique to you, or do you want to create and build it on an existing model? And so I guess that's really the first question. Like, is there an existing business model and customer engagement model that you want to deliver on, in which case it's a pretty well understood package that you can then build up around that. And it's just about the refinement and detailing and matching that to your specific needs, or are you going to go for something that is going to shift the industry, tell a slightly different story, engage with people a little bit differently, in which case, yeah, we'd build it in our studio and invite you in to experience it.
Yeah, but then I also think it's very important to remember just when it comes to retail media, because retail media is where you can sell advertising space, you need to have the traffic. And here we have the conflict again with immersive experiences that are they are very rarely scalable, but retail media needs to be scalable. So that is also the friction why you can't combine retail media with great immersive experiences, because then it's not retail media. Of course, you can call it, like, if you have a huge arena, should you call it retail media? Well, it's your choice, but traffic is key essence for retail media.
I find it fascinating that both of you went immediately to very tactile, like, what's the screens look like, mock it up, make the environment, right? It's a very real sort of studio-driven approach that you're both talking about. And you're not throwing around buzzwords like AI and da-da-da and all this other stuff. So do you think that digital could enhance the 5 senses experience of Kerner coffee? I mean, do you really believe that digital is a fundamental advantage in doing that in a modern retail store?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Again, it's deciding what is that touch point. Are you actually going in and having you're delivering the experience on all the senses? You remember the sound of Kerner coffee, the smell, the light, and the ambiance, and that becomes something that really connects you with it. Or if it's just a grab and go, there could be just a little moment right at that point of interaction or the invitation that creates that deeper connection that makes you feel like you're part of the Kerner coffee community.
Are you finding that with your projects, that it's like you're getting now into more unique, intimate scales of the customer interacting?
Yeah, and I think that all, like, store and physical environments also need to focus on the localization perspective. But then I was recently at NRF, I told Michael earlier, which is super interesting, because one of the trends that we saw that will define future in the retail is that after the pandemic and everything, we see this loneliness trend, right? And the physical environments are so important for some people, because that's the only time when they actually meet someone in person. And therefore, you also see that people want to spend less time in their phones. So you see this reaction towards this digital behavior that we have created. People want to spend more time outdoor. They want to, you see a lot of, like, the premium brands on high street in most big cities. But what's interesting as well, that they want to have sensory experiences in store. They want to play, they want to feel, they want to smell, because that is like what makes us human. We need to meet that in physical environments much more. And it can't be that everything needs to be immersive, but that is very, very, you see that on all the big brands are talking about it. You see, like, WGSN, who do their trend reports, see the same. So it's very, if there's something I would really like enhance, is that physical space is so important for many people.
But just why wouldn't you call that immersive if you're activating all the senses?
I guess it's knowledge. I don't know everything to frame in immersive. For me, it's the examples that you showed, and not only like stores, for example.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that for us, that's the approach, and I think that's that differentiation. Are you using immersive to escape reality, or are you using it to augment and enhance reality? But
sometimes immersive examples are so big, so you can't see the small, like this is also immersive. It would be great to see, like, smaller examples of immersive experiences, because my knowledge, I work with this, but we don't call it immersive. We just put it a brand experience touch point in store. We don't call it immersive experiences. So
I think part of the immersive part is having an integrated multi-sensory experience throughout the space. And that's really what that shift is that, and doing it in an artful, like, understanding that this is the medium for our culture and doing it in an artful way.
So we have 2 minutes left. Does anybody have any burning questions for the Q&A session?
It's really interesting what you're saying about smaller examples. So what you showed was so beautiful, Michael, but big brands, I can only imagine the budget. And I'm looking at this thinking, is this now achievable as technology advances? Can smaller brands have these kind of opportunities and experiences? Or as technology is improving, actually, is it getting further and further away?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to have to grow together because, there has to be a need and you have to build up the industry around delivering it. And, frankly, I've been in this world for over 25 years and nobody's actually trained in doing this. There's no language around it. There's no proper processes. So the customer doesn't know what to ask for. And so therefore it's expensive because every studio has to figure out how to do it their own and find those few customers. So it will at some point, the tools, I think with the advancement of technology, and I do think with AI, we're going to see a lot of growth and access to more immersive and small bites that's affordable. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, let me just do a quick summary here, my version of a conclusion. So what makes an immersive digital experience, right? So you have all the obvious stuff. You have the digital displays, you have the media, you have the data. This is like growing. As you walk around the show floor, you'll see these are all the toys that everybody's trying to sell you. You get the sensors, you start to create action and interaction with your guests. But this is not an immersive digital experience. This is just a trade show of technologies and gadgets and stuff and things. And what really makes an immersive digital experience is you create memories in the minds of your guests. You drive action. You get them to do something in physical space. You derive knowledge from how your guests act. So you learn, the space learns. Your retail media network, your immersive digital experience, it learns, it gets smarter. And then it creates a feedback loop. Now, we didn't really talk too much about AI because I think the three of us just assume that AI is going to be used in all aspects of what we do. But if you think that AI is really just machine learning and you need a complete loop to improve the experience, this is where you get that fundamental loop. So if you want to integrate AI into any of these sub-technologies, you think about how it augments the end user, the guest experience. So with that, if you guys would like to reach out to us, feel free to take this down. We're all on LinkedIn, and we'll be hanging around here to talk. Please grab us if you want. And thank you very much.
Thank you. That's so good, so good. Really interesting and fantastic to see those projects.